Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Untitled Reviews. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Billy the Kid. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, picking up immediately where the last episode left off, turns out Barbara and Jesse are a thing, and it's like, cool. And that complicates things. So it's like, yeah, so why was this whole thing happening between us? Is maybe Billy knew on some level, or maybe, Barbara does apologize, so she knew that Billy was probably under the impression that there wasn't, or maybe it's like, right, we only had a week because you knew that I was dating someone in the group, didn't realize Jesse was a part of the group, but you knew that we only had that week to have fun, but in that week, he fell in love with her, so... But it seems like Barbara's more so like I don't belong to anybody. She's like, I left the Calvinists behind and stuff like that, and now I get to just be me. I get to feel what I want to feel. So she's not going to be, she's very, like, I think, free-spirited with her love of, like, I'll be with who I want to at any point in time. I'm not going to be adherent to be, I'm not going to be someone's belonging. It's like, even if it's like a, oh, you love me thing, but it's like, you're not going to possess me. I kind of been through that on a religious front. I just want to be free. She's like, that's why I kick it with you guys in the first place, is because I want to be free. And you could tell it really bothers Jesse. Like, he could see the stolen glances between Billy and Barbara. In fact, Jesse wants Billy to come along with them, be part of the Seven Rivers gang, but some of the other men are like, yeah, but Billy's on wanted posters, so that's going to draw too much attention. But Jesse's like, no, if I want Billy with me, I want Billy with me. That's also the thing, too. Billy doesn't say anything during the episode, but you know it must rub him a little the wrong way. It's like, right, I got in trouble in the first place because of you. I get it, you're trying to help me out, but I told you I didn't want to do that, and we did it anyway, and what happened? You ended up bailing. You left me behind. I ended up going to jail. You ended up getting away scot-free. It's like, everything kind of snowballed from there, so... But now it's like this complicated thing of he feels the way he does about Barbara, but Barbara's like, no, like, because Billy doesn't want to stay around because of the whole Barbara thing, but also he doesn't want to get mixed up in everything that Jesse is, because he still views like Jesse and them as criminals, because everything that Billy's ever done, he feels, no, I've been justified, and the person I killed was in self-defense. Robbing that store, I never actually robbed the store. I never took anything. I never hurt anybody. You know, yes, I've broken out of jail like twice, but still, he's like, I've never really, other than self-defense, I've never hurt anybody. So I think that's why extra reason why Billy can't be around Jesse right now, just because it's like, right, you guys are, I know what you guys are probably a part of, and I don't want anything to do with that, plus the whole Barbara thing. And I thought it was interesting, too, because I think, you know, Billy rubs him the wrong way, because he feels the need to try and show Billy up. It's like, oh, like, let's see who draws faster, and Jesse easily won. He's like, oh, you got to get better, you got to get faster, you're going to be dead. So it's like, right, you think you're going to be able to take care of yourself out there, but if it was someone else, you'd be dead right now. But he held onto his gun for a long time after Billy already put his away. So it's like he's contemplating it. And so ultimately Billy does leave, and Jesse comes out with a rifle and is ready to shoot him, but Barbara's like, don't. It's like, and he's like, why? And she's like, you won't even, well, for one, Billy did nothing wrong. He wronged you in no shape or form, and you know that. You and I both know that. Plus, you won't shoot him. He's like, why is that? And she's like, because you love him. Because it's like, that's why he's so irked, because it's like, for Jesse, it's like, man, you're my boy, Billy. I love you. Not unless it's more than that. I mean, I guess it could be, but I interpret that as like just like you love him like a friend and like a brother, and he betrayed you by, you know, everything between him and, I mean, once again, he didn't know that you were a thing, but once again, maybe the point is like, no, even though you found out we were a thing, there were still those stolen glances between each other. Like, you kind of came here, I helped save you, and what you do, you sleep with my girl. But once again, Barbara's probably like, no, I don't belong to anyone. So Billy's off on his own, goes to Mexico, goes to a very specific town, and kind of everything goes wrong for Billy in that town. He asks a kid to wash his shoes. Need him an hour later, he finds that same kid like wearing his shoes, taking off. Then Billy gets robbed. He gets jumped. They take his gun. They take half his money. Good thing Billy put like half of his money away in his room and was only carrying around maybe half of it. Still sucks. And he meets, I'm going to butcher his first name. It's like McQueldes. I know I butchered it. I'm just going to call him Segura, just because it's easier. Because, you know, I think like Tom Segura. So Segura like takes a liking to Billy. He's like, wow, you can actually take an ass whooping. So turns out he's a gambler, which is like quite the pair him and Billy will make, because we know Billy does very good at the games, and so Segura wants to go up against the local guy Don Ortez, because the guy's robbed him blind. But it's like, yeah, I know the guy's cheating, so I need help proving it. So I even love that whole thing where Billy showed off with Segura when they were like doing that whole gamble between like, oh, 2 pesos says you can't shoot that can. It's like, oh, which makes me wonder, was Billy, your typical gambler thing of like, oh man, I guess the gun's a little off, or man, I guess I suck. Oh, 2 pesos, you won't hit the, oh man, you missed a can. Oh well, and then bang, 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 bang. What are those shows called? I forgot what they were called. Like those shows where you do trick shots like that. God, Josh Hartnett's character, Ethan, from Penny Dreadful was a part of it. It's almost like this cowboy circus act. I forgot what those are called. Someone else was one of those. Oh yeah, God, John Jory Jr. was like, I think he did that for a job before the world ended in Fear the Walking Dead. I think he had brought that up previously, because I think that was the same episode they found out you can run into Dwight again. Tangents and all that aside, and like I said, I forgot the very specific. I think it has a very specific name, but that's what those trick shots reminded me of. I'm like, look at you, Billy. You could have just shot it once, but you shot it multiple times just to show off. But they go and double team Ortez, like they're working together, kind of giving each other the nod and win the play and stuff. And luckily they walked out of there with that, because like Ortez's people were getting close. I was like, oh, this is about to get bad. But luckily they walked out of there, and even Billy's like, I'm not going to step foot in there again. I was like, one, I know you're going to. I wasn't sure what the circumstances were going to be, but I was like, you're going to walk back in there. And Don Ortiz was like, okay, I'm going to let them go this time. They'll be back. And I was like, and yeah, and stupid enough, they will, and they do come back. And I'm like, oh, he let you go that time, but I figured he wasn't going to let you do it a second time, especially when he feels that you're there robbing him blind. It's like, no, the house is always supposed to win. I'm supposed to win. So he probably already knew something was up, but he was like, fine, I'll let them go this time. But them cheating him again, maybe he didn't quite catch them cheating before, but this time he caught them cheating, well, because Billy caught him cheating. So, but really quickly, they're feeling themselves, they got money, they're enjoying themselves, they meet up with these 2 sisters, they hit it off, and then they go back to those sisters' house. It's like apparently they're from like a very rich family, but once again, Billy and Segura this time. It wasn't just Billy that got played this time. Segura does as well. Because they were trying to show off, because these ladies are from a very rich family here. And it's like, right, these are the type of girls like, oh, they dance like that. But it's like, no, they're saving their virginity for, that special someone. And it's like, oh, why don't you guys stay here? Because I knew something was wrong when they were like, oh, our dad is dead. And their quote-unquote mom was like, oh, my husband's still alive. He's someone. And it seemed like, in a way she was acting, I was like, is she a... They were like, oh, kind of ignore our mom. She's in another world. I was like, oh, it seemed like she was kind of... Like, she didn't have all her faculties. And so I'm like, that's interesting. And especially when she shows up later at the door, she's just standing there. I was like, even though they're like, oh, see you later. And she just kept standing there. Because those girls aren't her daughters. Those are her nieces. And they took advantage of their aunt. They knew their aunt could, I guess that's their scam to rob people. And apparently they went to Sacramento, California. So it's like, cool. And because she kept talking about her husband. It's like, no, my husband's a very important person. He'll reimburse you. Her husband probably is dead. Maybe he really was someone important in time. But it's like, right. I mean, those might not even be her real nieces. They might have just been people who took advantage of her, but I'm assuming those are her nieces. Maybe. Either way, they suck, and Billy got robbed blind. At least this time they didn't get your gun taken. I do like that. It's almost like a Fallout thing, but maybe this was like an old school, like, gambling thing, too, of, like, betting not only your gun, but your bullets. Because, no, it's not, is it Fallout? No, I think it's... I've seen people play them, but I'm not as deep into them. It's like those Metro, was it 2033 again? Like the Metro games, like your bullets are not only like ammunition for you to fight, but they're also currency. So once again, I never knew that you could like gamble your bullets in a gun, I guess it makes sense. And the ammo makes sense because ammo costs. So it's like, right, if you can get some free ammo, that's cool. Because you even saw it earlier in the episode, they were betting like whole stocks of ammo, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So, because they were originally going to rob a bank, but Billy backed out at the last second because he saw the mother and son together, and obviously it made him think of his own family. Because he'd actually, when he was leaving the Seven Rivers gang and he was heading to Mexico, he ended up coming across like people on wagons, and he saw what it seemed to be a family, and a family exactly like his, 2 sons, a mom, and a dad, and it just probably made him think of like, right, how naive we were to think things were going to work out, and look where things are now. He's the only person in his family left. That trip, there was 6 of them there was 8 of them that went on the trip, because there was the mother and father and son from the other family plus Billy's family, so that's 8 people, and now Billy's the only one left. That family the mother and son went back home. Hopefully they made it, and now his mom, dad, and brother are all gone. So it's kind of like probably that thing of like, man, if only I could go back and tell them, like, not, because it wasn't even worth it in the end, and now you're just living day by day, just kind of without your family, just moving on from one place to another. Because even Jesse had talked about it. It's like, right, you're wanted in 2 counties, because he still wants to try and live on a straight and narrow. So when they attempt to rob the bank, Segura's like, what are you doing? He's like, but I'm not going to do that. He's like, I'm not a criminal. It's like, yes, I killed someone in self-defense. Yes, I've stolen some cattle and stuff like that, but I've never hurt someone directly. Because he's like, if I go in there, because the people he's robbed have been rich people. Like, it's like, right, this is just cattle. You've got money on your own. You got plenty of other cattle, so I'm not hurting you too much. This, I wouldn't be robbing the bank. I'd be taking money from these people who, which is sad too, because like, this is a place where everyone steals to get what they want. Once again, you guys got robbed twice. But it was an interesting thing Segura had told Billy early on, and it's kind of happened, well, because Billy also got robbed last episode too. He was able to keep everything except for his horse. And it's kind of the same principle of like, right, everyone in that town is getting their land stolen to them by gringos. So when they see a white guy like Billy in Mexico, it's just like, right, you're a reminder of the people who are coming to take everything that we have, so we might as well steal it from you first. So they're angry, and just Billy just happens to be the outlet. Just kind of like last episode, like Billy, isn't he's an immigrant to this country, but I guess it's also like, that doesn't mean anything in the long run. Like I said, the people who took his horse last episode, he never really told them like, hey, I'm not like most people. Like I said, I think the Irish weren't treated the best, but it's still a thing of, if you were to put it in a hierarchy of who gets fucked over, I think once again, I think it's just like, in this time, it's like, because Billy probably won't even really be recognized as Irish, so it probably wouldn't even be that big of an issue. But it's like, yeah, you're Native American or Mexican, is probably like, yeah, probably, getting screwed over left and right. So they're angry and want to steal back. It's like, right, you're taking so much for us, so it's time for us to take back what you took. So Billy didn't want to go down a criminal route, because he still believes himself to be righteous enough. He considers himself not to be a bad person. So back to the card games. And they end up winning, and they walk away with their prizes. But Don Ortiz is like, yeah, go handle that. I expected his people to hit them faster, but I guess it's like, right, you wanted to wait till nighttime where they'd be at a disadvantage, so they wouldn't see you coming. You don't want to make it easy for them that they can defend themselves. You want to completely catch them off guard. So Billy and Segura go their separate ways. Segura's planning on going to take care of some family business in New Mexico, which Billy's like, I kind of have to stay away from New Mexico. So he's planning on going to Texas, specifically El Paso, because he had heard from Jesse and the others. So my question then becomes like, is it him going like, right? I mean, he'd heard it from them, so maybe he'll bump into them after everything. He's like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be on my own. Maybe I should have kicked it with Jesse and them, despite the awkwardness, despite the complicated circumstances. Or maybe it's just like, yeah, it's an opportunity. So going from one place to place, can't even bury down roots, like, because all the home he's known is gone. He's kind of he's a wanderer going from place to place. So they go their separate ways, and obviously Don Ortiz comes with his men to try and come after Billy. Luckily, Billy, I like how Billy handled that. He was outnumbered, obviously, but played it smart, used that fire to brighten up the surroundings, so the moment they got close enough in the light, he can take them out. Then it comes down to Don Ortiz being like, okay, you don't have to do this. Okay, yes, I came after you, but it was just business. He's like, fine, you get to keep all the money, just let me live. He's like, but you're not a murderer. He's kind of pleading to God and everything. It's like, right, you let me live. I won't go. I'll tell my men to stand down from Segura. And I was like, okay, I was wondering if that was implying, like, I was like, okay, are we going to find out you've already gotten to Segura and killed him? But it seemed like his men are going after Segura, or very least like, oh, after this, either he's already sent his men after Segura and it's already too late, or maybe they're in the process, or he's saying, like, after I get back after dealing with you, I'll go after Segura. But Billy puts him down. And once again, this is crossing the line for Billy. Once again, he could justify it before, oh, it was self-defense. Even everyone else there, it was self-defense, except Don Ortiz. He was begging for his life. He was unarmed. Billy still put him down. But I think Billy bounces back and forth between that because, once again, going back to the ending of episode 1, he gave that guy 2 opportunities, and he's like, right, you won't back down? It was self-defense. Billy tries to give people an opportunity. In this case, it's like, right, you try to kill me, now you're threatening to kill Segura. So I don't know whether Billy's going to try and race after Segura. I mean, it would also involve going back to New Mexico, which is kind of a big no-no, but maybe that's also the thing of, like, I can't go after to help him. I'm just going to get myself in trouble. So, or was that kind of indicating, like I said, did Ortiz already go after Segura, and is he already dead? Did they already get... I don't know, but Billy can't no longer justify, like, no, I'm a good guy. I haven't hurt anyone. It's like, no, you killed someone. Was he an innocent person? No, he was trying to kill you, but, excuse me, he was pleading for his life. He was surrendering, and you still killed him in cold blood. So, coming to terms with that, once again, Billy can't justify himself as being like, oh, I'm not a criminal anymore. So, what does this mean for him? If he does go to El Paso, will he be a lot more inclined to work with the Seven Rivers? Because he's like, right, I am this person now. There's no going back. You know, I can't justify the blood on my hands this time, at least when it comes into that regard. So, will it haunt him? You know, because his mom told him she saw the good person he was, and he tried to hold on to that. But in this world where it's do or die, eat or be eaten, that he had decided he'd rather do the eating. So, we'll see how Billy comes to terms with this later on. Once again, I'm curious he's going to come across because he's got a few acquaintances out there. He's got Mr. Upson, he's got Barbara, Jesse, and the whole Seven Rivers gang. He's also got Mr. Alias out there, and now Segura. So whether he crosses paths with them in the near future, like I said, depending on how this whole Segura thing plays out, because I was scared the entire episode. I'm like, because Billy has a tendency to lose people close to him. I mean, not just his family. He never, like, I think it fits the character too, that he's always wandering from place to place, and he's always meeting these people, gaining new experiences from their run-ins, but never sticking with them for too long. You know, it's always moving from one place to the other, never setting down roots, because it's impossible to. But it's going to be interesting to ultimately see where everything takes us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and good